South Korea has a very big problem. It is about having babies. The country faces a huge problem with having children. Maybe it is the worst problem like this ever seen in the world. It might be too late to fix it now. By the year 2060, South Korea will be very different. This story will look at how this change will happen in the country. It will also look at why it seems hard to stop this change. To keep the number of people in a country the same, each woman needs to have about 2.1 babies. This number is called the replacement rate. In the 1950s, women in South Korea had about 6 babies on average. This number went down a lot very quickly. In the 1980s, it was below 2 babies per woman. Now the number is much lower. In 2023, the average was 0.72 babies per woman. This is the lowest rate ever recorded in history for any country. In the big city of Seoul, it was even lower, 0.55. What does this very low number mean for the future? If women keep having so few babies, 100 people today will become about 36 children. These 36 children will have about 13 children. These 13 children will have about 5 children. So within 4 generations, 100 people from today will become about 5 people. This is a very fast drop in the number of people. The shape of the country's population is already strange because of this. There are many older people and very few young babies. For example, there is only one 1-year-old baby for 4 people who are 50 years old. For many years, the effect of having fewer babies was not easy to see. The number of people in South Korea was still high, and the economy was growing. But problems like this come like a fast train. First, you hear it far away. Then it hits you quickly. South Korea is about to be hit by this problem very hard. We will look at what South Korea might look like in the future, around the year 2060. We will use predictions from groups like the United Nations. These predictions help us understand the possible changes the country will face in many areas, like its economy, society, and even its culture. South Korea is facing a big challenge because of having too few babies. It is a problem that seems very difficult to stop now. Too few babies. To have the same number of people over time, each woman needs to have about 2.1 babies. This number helps the population stay stable. In the 1950s, women in South Korea had many babies. On average, they had about 6 children each, but this number started to go down quickly. In the 1980s, the number of babies per woman fell below 2. This was a big change. Now the number is much lower. In 2023, the average was 0.72 babies per woman. This is the lowest number ever recorded for any country in the world. In the capital city, Seoul, the number is even lower, only 0.55. What does having so few babies mean for the future? Imagine 100 people living in South Korea today. If the birth rate stays at 0.72, these 100 people will have children. Then their children will have children, and so on. After 4 generations, those 100 people will become only 5 people. The population will become much smaller. Because of this, the shape of South Korea's population is changing. Think of a population like a pyramid. A healthy pyramid is wide at the bottom with many young people and children, and narrow at the top with older people. South Korea's shape is not like that anymore. There are many older people and very few young children. For example, today there is only one child who is 1 year old for every 4 people who are 50 years old. For many years, the country did not see big problems from the low birth rate. The effects were not easy to notice. The population was still quite large and many people were working. But now, after many years of having too few babies, the big problems are just starting to show. It is like a warning that something difficult is coming. 3. The future country. Let us think about the year 2060. South Korea may look very different then. People who study populations have made pictures of this future. They use the most recent information which has been right in the past years. In 2060, the number of people in South Korea will be much smaller. The population might shrink by 30%. This means about 16 million fewer people will live there in just about 35 years. South Korea will likely be the oldest country in all of human history. Many people will be old. 1 out of every 2 people will be older than 65 years. This is a very big number. At the same time, there will be very few young people. Less than 1 person in 10 will be younger than 25. There will be even fewer small children, maybe only 1 child for every 100 people. Imagine walking in a city or town in this future. The streets might be strangely quiet. You might not see children playing outside. Some towns and even whole cities could be empty because people have moved away or passed on. Many old people might live alone. Others might live together in places for older people, which could become full. Also, people are living longer lives now. The average age people live to is going up. This is good, but it also means there will be more old people in the country in the future. This makes the problem of having too many old people and too few young people even bigger. 4. Less money for everyone. The shrinking number of people in the country will cause serious money problems for everyone. Many old people are already poor today. In 2023, 40% of people over 65 years old lived below the poverty line. This means they had very little money. This problem is expected to become much worse as the population gets older and smaller. South Korea has saved a lot of money for its older people. This is called the National Pension Fund. Today, this fund is one of the largest in the world, holding about 730 billion US dollars. But this large amount of money is not safe forever. Experts predict it will stop growing in the 2040s. By the 2050s, the pension fund is projected to be completely empty. When the fund is empty, the money for old people's pensions must come from the people who are working and paying taxes. However, there will not be enough workers. For a pension system to work well, there should be at least 2 or 3 working people for each retired person. By 2060, even if every person over 15 years old is working, South Korea will have less than 1 worker for each senior citizen. The small number of workers will not be able to pay the huge costs for the large number of old people. This situation means that poverty among the elderly will be very common. A large number of old people will be forced to find jobs and work, even at an old age. But jobs might be hard to find because the country's economy is expected to shrink greatly. The size of a country's economy is closely linked to how many people are working. To have a big economy, You need many workers to make many things. You also need many people to buy these things. Today, South Korea has about 37 million people who are of working age. By 2060, this workforce will be less than half that size, shrinking to about 17 million people. Even with new technology helping workers make more things, this big drop in the number of workers means the economy will get smaller. Some predictions say South Korea's total economic value, its GDP, could reach its highest point in the 2040s and then start to fall. This would mean a long period of the economy getting smaller. The government will face a very difficult situation. Fewer working people mean less money from taxes for the government. But the government will need to spend a lot of money caring for the many old people. By 2060, about half of everyone in the country could be over 65 years old. With less tax money and high costs for old people, the government might have to make hard choices. They may need to close hospitals or cut back on help for people. Also, there will not be enough money to invest in new things for the future. Mr. Chul Chung, president of the Korea Economic Research Institute, explained that the falling number of babies leads to fewer workers and less buying by people. This slows down the economy's growth. He said this directly impacts businesses and how long they can continue. The lack of young people and the large number of old people will create very big financial problems for South Korea in the coming years. 5. Sad and empty places. The country will change in many ways, not just with money and old people. Society and culture will feel different. Today, about 20% of people live alone. Also, about 20% say they have no close friends or family. This feeling of being alone or loneliness will become a much bigger problem. In the future, many old people will have less family. By the year 2060, half of people aged 70 will not have any brothers or sisters. Also, 3 in 10 people aged 70 will not have any children. Young people aged 25 to 35 will be a very small part of the population, only 5%. Many of them will not have brothers or sisters either. This means old people will have almost no close family, and young people will have few friends or family, especially away from the big cities. South Korea is known around the world for its culture, like K-pop music and K-dramas. This culture was made by young people. In the year 2000, there were 17.5 million people aged 25 to 45. They were 37% of the population. By 2060, there will be only 5.6 million people in this age group. They will be just 16% of the population. With fewer young people, this culture might become less strong. Many old traditions need young people to keep them alive. If there are not enough young people, these traditions might disappear. Growing up in the future will be different. Many schools, universities, and places for small children will close because there are not enough children to go to them. Young people might feel alone in a country with mostly old people. Some young people might move to the big city of Seoul or to other large cities to find friends and jobs. Others might decide to leave South Korea completely and live in another country. This will make many small towns and areas away from the cities very empty. They could become like ghost towns with no people living there. like in Japan, where there are already many empty houses in the countryside. Large parts of South Korea could become empty too, and nature might grow over the places where people used to live. Old people who live alone can feel sad and lonely. Some studies show that old people who live with family feel happier. If old people live alone, having friends and staying active can also help them feel better. But in the future, fewer old people will have family nearby. So the country will not just be older and poorer, but also a sadder and emptier place for many people. 6. Why no babies? In many rich countries, people have fewer babies, but in South Korea the number is very, very low. It is lower than anywhere else. Why do people have so few children here? One big reason is work. People work too much. They have very long work hours. There is also a lot of pressure to do well in life to succeed. This leaves little time for family or children. Life is also very expensive. Buying a house is hard for many people, especially in big cities. Education costs a lot of money too. Parents feel they must pay for private lessons, called hagwon, for their children. This helps children get into good universities, but it costs a lot. Some studies show that the high cost of education is a main reason why people do not want to have a second child. The government gives some help to families, but not as much as in some other rich countries. Old ideas about family also play a part. People often feel you must be married to have children. In 2023, only 4.7% of babies were born to women who were not married. Also, in families, men often do not do much housework or childcare compared to men in many other developed countries. This means women often have to do most of the work at home. Many women feel they cannot continue their jobs after having a baby because of this. At the same time, men feel pressure to be the main person earning money for the family. The number of divorces has also gone up a lot. This makes family life less stable for some people. The divorce rate increased a lot, especially after the country had money problems in 1997. It is also interesting that in the past, the government actually wanted people to have fewer babies. They had policies to stop births until the middle of the 1990s. This changed later, but the idea of having small families stayed. All these things together make it hard for people to decide to have children. The country has created a way of life where having babies feels like too much of a burden for many. 7. Is there hope? Fixing the problem of few babies is very hard now. Even if South Korea's birth rate went up to 2.1 babies per woman today, the country would still face big problems for many years. This is because there are already many old people and very few young people. The population shape looks strange. There will not be enough working people to support the older generation for a long time. Even in a good future picture, there might be less than 2 people working for every person over 65 years old. However, there is a small possibility of hope if the country makes big changes quickly. The government understands the problem and is trying new things. For example, the government is giving money to parents to help with the cost of raising children. They are also trying to make it easier for parents to work and have families. The government offers support for daycare and preschool education. They give economic help for families with more than one child. There is also money to help with medical costs for babies. By 2025, they plan to offer more financial support for preschool children. Parents with children under 8 years old can now leave work 1 hour earlier, and paid leave for fathers has increased to 10 days. These are steps to create a better environment for families. In 2024, there was a small piece of news that brought some hope. Births went up a little, by 3% compared to 2023. This was the first time births increased in 9 years. This small rise might show that the government's efforts could start to help. Other countries also have low birth rates like Italy, Spain, and China, but South Korea's rate is the lowest in the world. In 2023, the rate was 0.72 babies per woman. In the city of Seoul, it was even lower, 0.55. This shows how serious the situation is compared to other places. Another way to help the population problem could be for more people to come from other countries to live and work in South Korea. This idea, called immigration, could help by adding younger people to the workforce. But immigration is not often discussed as a main solution for this problem right now. So, is there hope? The situation is very difficult because of the problems built up over many years, like the age structure. But the government is trying many different things to help families. There was a small increase in births recently, which is a positive sign. It seems hope is possible, but only if big, fast changes continue to happen and these efforts work well over a long time. 8. What happens now? The problem of having too few babies is not just something for the future. It is happening right now. South Korea shows the greatest danger, with the lowest birth rate ever seen at 0.72 in 2023. In Seoul, it was even lower, 0.55. This is a big problem for the whole world, but South Korea is the most extreme example. Other countries also have low birth rates. In 2023, China's rate was 1. Italy and Spain had 1.2. Germany had 1.4. The UK and the US had 1.6. These numbers mean fewer people in the future for many countries. It is strange that many people do not understand how serious this is. For a long time, people worried about too many people on Earth. So, thinking about needing more babies feels new and hard to understand. But having too few babies is a big threat. It can hurt society, culture, the economy, and how people live every day. There will be fewer workers, less money for old people, empty schools, and maybe old traditions will disappear. We need to understand this danger very soon. We need to make big changes in society. The problem is coming fast, like a train on the tracks. We must see it and act now before it is too late. What do you think is the most important thing to change?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.